What's that? A double dose of your boy Leon Idol? That's right, 2 videos today because I happened to find an article that so bizarrely correlates to what we were talking about earlier, but this time having to do with Marvel, the MCU, and Anthony Mackie, you know, the guy that plays the Falcon, not Captain America, because that character isn't Captain America. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and let's find again this bizarre article about relating towards fantasy being too white. Now, just as a heads up, this is an article from Bounding Into Comics, which I've said multiple times is not exactly the greatest source. They're literally just the right-wing version of someone like Kotaku or Polygon. However, I do feel like it works really well with what we were talking about earlier in the day. Captain America Brave New World star Anthony Mackie calls out lack of black characters in Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings films. I want to see Frodo in the hood. Oh my goodness, that sounds like a fantastic film. I mean, I have often had ideas for movies. One movie, I wanted to cast a young black boy. Maybe I'll call up my buddy I-Man Rich the Swag Lord or Atreus, and I will cast them in this movie. And it's going to be called Robin in the Hood. And it's going to be about a young black boy who robs from the rich and gives back to the poor in the hood. But of course, Robin in the Hood, or maybe just Robin the Hood, that works. Because he's robbing from other black people in the hood, but he's giving it to poor people. Because I'm sure there's probably maybe like some affluent people out there who are just suckered up by corruption. You're gonna have like, you know, rich black police chief or something to that effect. I haven't worked out all the kinks yet, but all I know is that that's the movie I'm gonna make. Whether it's Harry Potter enduring endless but ultimately toothless calls for boycotts due to J.K. Rowling's factual feminist views, or the continuous attempts to politicize J.R.R. Tolkien's The classic Lord of the Rings works, recent years have seen numerous fantasy franchises uncharitably thrown under the bus due to their failure to satisfy Hollywood's so-called modern standards. And that is absolutely factual. I mean, how many films and works and of fiction have been changed, not just films, but TV shows, video games, whatnot, that are works of fantasy fiction, often taking place in a European setting, have had so much criticism levied against them lately, sometimes even being forced to change. I mean, Final Fantasy 16 got so much criticism levied against it because it's taking place in what was supposed to be like 16th century Europe. So yeah, no kidding, there ain't gonna be a lot of black people. It's a Japanese game taking place in a fictionalized version of Europe. Makes sense to have it predominantly white. But then you have the Lord of the Rings crossover with Magic the Gathering, where half the characters have been race swapped because the overwhelming amount of white people must have been blinding, and they run the risk of, you know, blinding the characters, burning out their vision. We can't have blind people playing Magic the Gathering. We don't make Braille cards, and we want more people to be customers, so we got to make sure we darken some of the skin tones. That's what I imagine their mentality must have been, because it certainly wasn't something along the lines of, let's shoehorn in some fake diversity to hopefully sell more product, wink wink. In the latest case of someone attempting to overwrite the original vision of a beloved author, rather than rabid activists or ESG-driven executives, Captain America Brave New World star Anthony Mackie has slammed both the aforementioned franchises over their lack of black characters. The Marvel Cinematic Universe's current wielder of the shield weighed in on the topic during a recent interview with Inverse, speaking with the outlet's Jake Kleiman about his upcoming directorial debut Spark, a biopic based on the life of Claudette Colvin, a black woman whose refusal to abide by segregation-era bus laws predated Rosa Parks by several months, but was ultimately hushed away due to her being pregnant and unmarried. That is actually all factually accurate. Like, I will say, this is a cool movie. This idea for a film is super cool. Now, I'm sure it's going to be incredibly self-aggrandizing considering it's Anthony Mackie behind the film, but I will say, the Claudette Colvin story predating the Rosa Parks story is true. Even the black community tried to shut her down, saying you would not be a good person to raise up this cause. You would not be a good flagship character for our movement because, let's be honest, you're a pregnant teenager and this is still the 60s. So her own community tried to keep her down and instead raise up Rosa Parks. I'm sure that aspect of it gonna be pretty glossed over in the movie, but that being said, it is a good story worth being told as long as it's told honestly. Mackie revealed that the film was meant to not only honor the unsung civil rights icon, but also address what he believes to be a lack of actual opportunities for young black actors. My guy, there are so many young black actors in Hollywood. It is not an issue. I mean, we are having them in everything. Like, not that's a problem. I mean, if you're a young black actor, go out there and get your bread. Like, I appreciate the hustle, but let's not create this fake narrative that there's no acting opportunities for young black actors. That is beyond bogus. Harry Potter had no fucking black friends, the actor asserted. Frodo walked across the entire universe and never met a black dude. Oh my, I want to see Frodo in the hood, he added, which if I ever do Saturday Night Live, it's going to be a skit I'm going to do. Oh, hey, there they are. They're talking about Aragorn and, alright, the Lord of the Rings stuff. Of course, fans of both franchises know what Mackie's criticisms are, at best, disingenuous. They are absolutely disingenuous. Set in 1990s Britain, Rowling's wizarding world of Harry Potter is far from lacking in diversity. From Harry's non-white classmates Dean Thomas, Parvati, Mackie and Padma Patil and Cho Chang, all of whom played a significant role in rebelling against Professor Umbridge's regime as members of Dumbledore's army in Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, to the eventual Minister of Magic Kingsley Shacklebolt, the series had no shortage of ethnically diverse characters. And here, we got a nice little photo right here. We see black, Asian, probably Indian or Hispanic, also probably Indian or Hispanic, black. I mean, yeah, I'm seeing some diversity here. And at the end of the day, this is still 1990s England, so there's probably quite a bit of whitey that should be here. I mean, we got the Weasley brothers who are gingers. That's pretty freaking European, if you ask me. Conversely, unlike the more modern-day Harry Potter, the Lord of the Rings fantasy world of Middle-earth, specifically the Shire where Frodo and hobbits lived, is based off Tolkien's own surroundings in 1930s England, which was probably even shinier, a country which at the time was not known for being overtly diverse. Further, Tolkien wrote his fantasy epic with a specific goal of creating a modern mythology for his countrymen, and thus more of his characters share physical attributes with the country's most prominent demographic. Which makes perfect sense. Not only that, but there are dark individuals, black individuals, Middle Eastern looking individuals, however it's supposed to be defined if you want to be politically correct, which I don't give a damn about in Lord of the Rings. I've said multiple times, the Harad people, the same people that, oh my goodness, Magic the Gathering made white in their card, even though they're canonically dark-skinned. At the time of writing, due to a combination of COVID-19 pandemic, Mackie's busy schedule and ongoing WGA writer's strike, a release date for Spark has yet to be confirmed, and I'm sure that film is going to be an absolute bomb. Like, I have no doubt in my mind, because let's be honest, while it's a cool idea, everyone is so politically, like, divided right now. They know that this is going to be an absolute propaganda film. I said earlier that the black community kept her down because she was not the perfect person to put the narrative forward. She would be deemed, unfit because of who she was, just because she was young and because she was pregnant, because she was effectively seen as dirty, even by her own people. But I bet that aspect of it is going to be removed. Now, it might not. I'm going to refrain from judging till the film actually comes out and I hear one way or the other, but if I had to take a guess, I'm willing to bet that Anthony Mackie is not going to put in that, other black people kept, Colvin down. That's just my thought process. Yeah, all in all, this was an absolute definition of virtue signal. Anthony Mackie going out there and talking about how Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings aren't diverse enough. Oh well, then make your own stories, which you're doing. You're making a story based on a true story nonetheless, but you're still making a story about this experience in Black America in the civil rights era. Like, you don't need to sit there and complain about the past if you want to make things better. You just change the future. You can't do anything else about it, especially when you try to change the past, like what they're doing with Magic the Gathering and Lord of the Rings, taking something timeless and making it have a time period to it, because let's be honest, this era of social norms is going to age like milk. Give it 10 years tops. People are going to look back on the Magic the Gathering Black Aragorn and think, remember when we were so obsessed with the race that we were trying to shoehorn in diverse characters just to shoehorn in diverse characters so that we didn't look racist? Like, people are going to look back on this time and think, my God, we were such idiots. We had it figured out in the 90s and early 2000s, and somehow we nosedived so hard. Well, the reason we nosedived so hard is because of absolute bogus virtue signaling like this from Anthony Mackie, one of the biggest stars in the world right now, all because of his work in the MCU, which is also incredibly diverse, and was incredibly diverse before they started pushing diversity. It's only fallen off a cliff because they pushed it so hard, but they had people of other races well before the push for diversity. They just didn't talk about it, so people didn't, comment on it one way or the other. They were just like, hey, cool characters, let's keep it up. I mean, the dude played the Falcon, and I'm telling you, this is not Captain America. He's the Falcon, but he's wearing Captain America's clothing. Not cool, dude, not cool. But those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on Twitter. You can find me at BoltTheWord. And please just subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about, again, like fantasy and RPGs and whatnot, but movies, music, anime, Magic the Gathering, you name it. It's all here in the Nerdosphere. And this has been Words of Paradise.